Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast, where we break down everything short-term rentals, entrepreneurship, and building a profitable hospitality business. Whether you're a host, investor, or property manager, we share real strategies, real insights, and real experiences to help you scale smarter and grow faster. Let's dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt Codd. I'm here with Austin Spitzenberger, and today our special guest is Chris Petzy. Petzy. I can't say it now. I practiced it and I messed it up. We need to start that over, Austin. I apologize.
No do-overs.
Okay.
No do-overs. That's how we started, dude.
Shit, I had it on top of my head. I just messed that one up. I apologize. I will.
Yeah, man. That's how you greet.
Austin.
You greet a guest by calling him pesky. That's just not a good way to start, dude.
It's worse when I ask him and then I can't say it. That's the worst part.
Well, my middle school basketball coach called me Petzy, and although I corrected him multiple times throughout the season, he continued to do so. And I think he just did it to put me in a bad place, but it's all good. I'm used to it. I'm used to people butchering it.
Yeah, your coach sent me a couple bucks. No.
Yeah, but haven't had the chance of meeting in person. You say you're a basketball player, so are you like? Am I envisioning like 6'5"? Like, what's that look like?
I am. I'm scratching 6 feet. I was listed as 6'2" to make myself look a little taller, but I was very much a guard and a smaller guard at the collegiate level.
Oh, okay, yeah. I feel like they pad the stats. So 6 foot, you had to be like a point guard, right? Like that's your only option.
Yeah. I wasn't a great point guard either. I played a lot on the wing and shot the ball a lot, but I played low Division III. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's my history with the sport. you can classify as a shooting guard. But anyways, you made it into the sixes. I'm sitting at a solid 5'9", and with boots maybe 5'11". So on a good day, I just round it up. And then you say if I've got boots on and I'm 5'11", I might round that up every day. Depending on who I'm talking to, I might round it up to 6 foot. But anyways, no, I'm 5'9". But anyways, Chris, that's enough of that. How's it going, man? Give us a little rundown of kind of how you got into the vacation rental space and what it is you kind of do today. Yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to come on. So in my 20s, I was, like a lot of folks, had a W-2. I wanted to get into real estate investing. I was looking for a long time, read all the books, Cash Flow Quadrant, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of them. And I analyzed hundreds of deals. And we finally found one that happened to be a short-term rental. And it was local to where I grew up. I decided, you know what, I can figure out the short-term rental thing. We jumped on it, my wife and I. At the same time, weeks, maybe days after we closed, my wife was 7 months pregnant. I was let go at my corporate job. She didn't have a job herself. And we're like, man, what are we going to do? And I did find another job. We were able to support ourselves with employment. But I went into that first investment saying, I need to grow this business and grow this portfolio so I don't put my family in that situation again. About to have a kid. Neither of us have jobs. Like it wasn't a great situation. So we got that first property, that first short-term rental, still have it today, up and running. It went very smoothly. But before it went live, I was thinking, I want to shortcut the learning on this. Like, how do I get this thing up and running the right way? And that's when I found Mike Sjogren, who lives only 45 minutes away from me in the Short-Term Rental Secrets Mastermind. Decided to go all in on the education of this business and make sure I was doing it right from the start, and learned about co-hosting. From there, started looking for clients. We performed really well on that first investment property, started to offer that service to other homeowners in our area. And there's a lot more as the years transpired, but that's how it all began in 2019. And we took off ever since.
Yeah, so you mentioned you live 45 minutes from Mike Sjogren. So we had him on, and he was talking about how he started his meetup, and like the first, I don't remember what it was, but the first few times, like nobody showed up, and he just like kept coming back. Nobody showed up, and it was a very good story. But I guess my point was when he was doing that in the beginning. Yeah, did you met him at his actual meetup?
I looked up Airbnb courses on meetup.com. I was just trying to find other people in the business. And he had a class called Airbnb Mastery. And it's down in Beverly. I was like, I'm just going to take a trip down here and meet this guy. And I walked in, there's like two other people in this Chase Bank, like cafe, or they used to call him. But I knew that he was different, just built a little bit different because he was recording himself. And I was like, this guy is like Tom Brady. He's like watching his own film, like trying to perfect his craft. I was like, this is interesting. And just the way he was presenting, regardless of the STR education, I just could get a sense that he was all in on whatever he was doing. I was like, this is a guy that I want to follow. So I took a lot from that. I actually went back the following month and just to learn more from him. He ended up doing a webinar about the mastermind, and I was sitting on the couch of our first short-term rental a couple months away from launching, and I was like, I got to be part of this group. I don't know everything, but I also don't want to have to research it all and have to figure it out myself. Like, this is a proven model. If you just follow the footsteps of others, and then we can make it our own over time. That's what we did, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, and that's crazy just to see how far you guys have come from that meetup. So when you were at that meetup, was it like was there a lot of people there at that phase, or was it like he was kind of still by himself at that time, or maybe he had a group of like 10 people? What did it look like?
No, it was like me and three other people. And then one of the other people was my neighbor that I forced to bring down with me. So there was very few. And like when he said nobody showed up, I'm sure that was the case for multiple months. Because really it was just a trickle of folks. But from that, him, my neighbor, we both signed up for the mastermind. And one of the people that went, I'm sure he told this story, became a partner of his and one of his clients. So it was a really successful strategy for client acquisition. But again, just interesting, like when you put yourself out there and you're just persistent about something, like good things will end up coming back around. That's what happened for him. And it's been the same story for us too.
Man, that's crazy. I've only heard his side of the story, and he didn't mention like about how this, but your name never came up or anything, so like no hard feelings, but it was just like, huh, that's crazy that you were one of the beginning like OGs, and then now you're one of the OGs in STR Secrets. So what does it look like in STR Secrets today for you? Are you kind of like a coach, or what's your involvement in that? Because I've seen a lot of your content, I listened to your podcast, and you guys put out some really good stuff for the community. I know, I've got a lot of valuable resources that I've been able to use and implement in my business over the last 4 or 5 years. So, what is your role at like Short Term Rental Secrets now? Like, how are you guys helping people?
So I'm one of the coaches within the program, and I teach a lot about scaling an operation. We went from that one property to now we have over 120 listings that we either own or manage, including a couple of boutique hotels. So me being able to pay it forward, I was working a full-time job while I was building the business. But when I left that job, that's when Mike approached and said, hey, would you want to start helping on the coaching side? Because at the time it was just him. I was just going to his Tuesday call every week. Then we really expanded what we were doing for services. We started offering 3 or 4 coaching calls a week. Mike Riley started getting involved, Dave Metapace, Daryl Medico. And so the few of the students that were starting to grow and scale their business successfully, we wanted to pay it forward and give back to the community and help other folks do the exact same thing. And so that's what it looks like at this point. You got coaching calls, you got educational content on the back end. Me and Mike Riley really revamped the original course that Mike had put together and expanded it tenfold to help with all the nuances in the business that exist nowadays. And so that's what the mastermind looks like today. It's a community of folks that are looking to scale a short-term rental business. And then you have the support of actual operators and students that have gone through the program itself to help those folks out.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like we were discussing before this call, you were looking at like previous guests that we had, and like, man, I would say at STR Secrets members, what would you say, Matt? At least we've probably had at least 10 people that have come through
Probably,
that
yeah.
program.
Probably like 10. Well, I saw Chris's presentation at the Short Term Rental Wealth Conference on operations, and I was standing next to Mike Riley, and I was like, dude, can you get him my podcast or what? And I don't know if Mike helped with that or just Austin DM'd you. I think Austin told me he was going to DM me. I said, yeah, DM him, see if we can get him on, because I thought the presentation that you gave for operations was like fantastic. I
Thank
thought it
you.
was great. And you gave a lot of free stuff away, which was really a lot of good resources that I saved. So I thought it was fantastic. So
Good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. I'm glad you got value.
yeah, it was good. Um, so what did you do for your corporate job? Out of curiosity.
I was a project manager at Liberty Mutual, a huge insurance company, and I was actually on the technology side. And we help with uh, learning programs for our technology employees, like helping them upskill or reskill. And I was in reporting and analytics, so I was driving a program around that. And a lot of that analysis, exists in the real estate investing world. So I was able to transfer those skills, but it was quite a bit different than what I'm doing today ultimately.
Yeah. So it sounds like your cup of tea here is like you're very operational and based on like when I've listened to you guys, it seems like you're like very operational focused. Is that correct? So like in your business, do you have a partner that does maybe like whatever business development or what is I guess like what's your business portfolio? What's your portfolio look like? And like I guess is that true? Like do you run the operations and have a business partner or what's your business look like?
Yeah, so I had that one that I bought, and then I had gotten one client, and that was over a 2-year period. And I was not a salesperson at the time. I wouldn't say that any longer. What happened is I found a business partner that had 10 or 11 listings, and we decided instead of competing, we would just merge. He was a real estate agent. His name's Sean, amazing resource and just a really helpful and great guy. Like he has a lot of the same core values that I do. And after a lot of conversations, we decided it'd make more sense to partner and grow the business together. And so we went from about 10 listings to 120 over the last 4 years together. And he was focused on the sales and marketing. I was focused on the operations. And then I built the team out underneath me. Now, what's interesting now, one point I'll make is I get a lot of people saying, you're the ops guy. You're the ops guy. And if you've read the book Traction, you got the visionary and integrator. I've really felt like over the last 12 to 18 months, I've moved into that visionary role because that's the person I want to become. I want to play bigger games. We're actually looking at laundromats now. We're looking at going in-house with cleaning and maintenance. Like I'm not going to be the person that designs the processes for our cleaners or our maintenance people anymore. I'm not going to be the one folding the laundry, making sure that's tight. I'm going to be working on the bigger acquisitions and looking at vertical integration opportunities and casting a vision that our team can see their own vision falling within. And that'll all help us grow and expand what we're doing. But that role that has really changed over time. But that's the context as we started out with that kind of. He was a salesperson, I was the ops guy, and that's how we started to scale the business originally.
Yeah, I love that you said that it took you 2 years to get your first client. I like that you said that. I think a lot of people act like when you're first trying and you're first starting, like yeah, some people it's quick and some people it's not. Like sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes you're not good at sales. We had Sam on here last podcast, and he said sometimes the market is an acquisition market and not more of a trying to cold call and get client market. So like I appreciate that you said that. um so how many, like, as far as the structure of your business with their 120 properties, how many employees do you have at this point with your business?
We have 5 now stateside full-time employees. And then we have 5 assistants overseas that help support kind of the back end of the operation.
Nice. So how many markets are you guys in?
I would call them 2 regions. One is coastal and one is in the mountains. We changed our name 2-3 years ago from Seacoast Vacation Rentals to Seacoast Summit. And the goal there was to encompass those 2 and even out the cash flow. Up here in the Northeast,
Yeah.
very, very seasonal. You're really only making money for 2-3 months of the year along the coast. But in the mountains, it's a lot flatter. And so I would call it 2 regions: coastal New Hampshire and Mass, and then the mountains of New Hampshire.
I love it. So you guys are looking at like acquiring, like trying to do like in-house laundry facilities and things like that. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So as we've scaled, we've realized, reviewing our P&L every month, you're seeing the numbers and how much we're paying out for cleaning and how many vendors we're leveraging for maintenance. And I think this really only makes sense when you have a concentrated portfolio, which I've talked to M&A guys before, like Jacoby, and they'll say all day long, like, stay focused on a region, right? Um, and buyers will want to see even cash flow. So those were the two reasons why we were A, concentrated, but B, in a second market, which is in the mountains, to help even out that cash flow. But as you scale and you go bigger, you're able to create economies of scale, and you're going to find vertical integration opportunities. So instead of leveraging 20 different vendors for maintenance, have one full-time maintenance guy that is fully dedicated to your business, and he'll pay for himself, or she will pay for themselves. Same thing with cleaning. We're paying out $500,000 in cleaning every year. It's like, let's start to build this in house and start to grow that operation in house. You don't want to fall away from your core offering, your niche of full service property management, if that's what it is. However, within that umbrella, there's going to be opportunities to bring in those pieces, create efficiencies, and effectively create better cash flow for your homeowners too, because you're not going to charge as much for those types of services.
Yeah. At what point did you realize, I guess, at what unit count? Because it's such a loaded question, because we're so torn where we're in the Texas Hill Country, but on the Gulf Coast. So like it's two different markets. So we can't bring laundry in and cleaning in house logistically between the two markets. And then we're also open to getting into other markets. So it's like we're trying to figure that out. And I guess my question is, at what point did you realize it made sense for you to bring laundry in house, cleaning in house, having a handyman on staff? And we're at probably about half the units that you're at. So when did you realize, like, hey, like, this actually makes sense? And how did you kind of break it down?
I would look at it in two ways. One, knowing your numbers, the P&L, like you'll see how much you're paying out for vendors such as maintenance, and you'll see how much is going out the door, and you can annualize that and say, well, if I just had a full-time staff member, would that be more or less? The second is just unit economics. So if you're paying $150 per clean, but you can pay somebody $20 an hour to clean that same property in-house, then that person is going to pay for themselves if they just do 5 cleans a week or 6 cleans a week. And then you can, because they're W-2, they're full time, you can leverage them in other ways, whether that's in the laundry operation or running supplies over to certain places, becoming inspectors. So we looked at, first and foremost, our company P&L and what was going out the door every month for those two facets of the business. But then secondly, you start to model out the unit economics. If you have, in a specific region, if you have even 20 turnovers a month, which is probably pretty light, 2-3 houses, you could probably start to think about going in-house with some of these services. It's the one caveat there is that I say $20 an hour as a cleaner. Well, now you got to manage that person. Now you got to give them benefits. And so there are ancillary costs that you're going to want to model in. And that's why we've delayed for so long. Like, we're still not fully in-house with cleaning. We're just getting started with it, actually. But that's something that, like, do you want to take on the stress and the time to build out basically a new division with your company, or just partner with somebody that's really good, like a third party vendor that will grow with you? And that's what we've done for the last 5 or 6 years. It's just the numbers are showing that we might want to look at it a little bit differently now.
I think the answer now is maybe no, not yet. But I think whenever you're right. So like you got to almost create a new business or a new branch of your business. But I think there has to be enough pain to where you realize how much maybe potential revenue that you're actually missing out on. And that level of discomfort is like, okay, how much am I missing out? Okay, that might be the motivating factor. So I think maybe we need to figure out that we need to go down a rabbit hole and run an analysis and figure like, okay, if we did do this, what would it look like and how much money we could save?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And also realize it's not just a cost exercise, but can you turn it into a competitive advantage? If I can say to a homeowner, I'm going to do full service management, and that's going to include all, like, maintenance is in-house, cleaning is in-house, obviously the guest experience, the pricing, the marketing, if everything is controlled within our umbrella, then our standard can be upheld to a whole new level. So there's a quality consideration to it as well, right? Cleaners that are cleaning for not just you, but 20 other clients, they might be on different systems and they might not be fully bought into your culture. So it's those aspects. And then also, as another, just a separate example, you could spin this off into other businesses. You don't want to get distracted. But for instance, like we're buying a van right now. It's like, well, if I were to wrap the van and pay $600 a month for this van, would I pay $600 a month for a billboard or somebody to for marketing services to go out and market your services? Because I'm going to be able to use the van for utility reasons, like for the maintenance and the cleaners and the laundry, etc. Basically pick up and delivery for the laundry. Well, that can also become a marketing team or market, basically just a person that's driving around marketing your services all day long. Our competitors are right next door to where we operate. Those homeowners are going to see our van, and it could become a source of inbound leads for us as well. So you could spin it in a few different ways and not just say, hey, it's a cost savings, but it has these ancillary benefits to it as well.
Yeah, I think the cost of if you got one acquisition from the van wrap, I figured that it already just in one acquisition would have paid for itself
Exactly.
easily. What's it cost? $4,000 or $5,000 to wrap the van. I mean, if you get a client for that price, it makes it work. So who knows? Yeah. I don't know, Matt, what you got? You got anything?
No, I think I like that the way he broke it down, because I think I kind of asked the question in general because I know that's a spot where you're at, right? So on what you're going to do, and I like the bringing it in house at some point, especially at the scale that you're at. I mean, I'm sure the maintenance savings with bringing somebody on full time with the maintenance cost you're spending is astronomical difference, right, year over year. So I think that's great. So for the laundry, are you guys looking to acquire a laundromat, or are you guys going to build out something, or what are you guys going to do there?
I've been diving deep into this the last 2 months. We had a
Good. It's
laundromat
fresh in your
identified.
mind.
Yeah, I just got off a call with my laundromat coach. One of the first things I did, just like with secrets, is I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the laundry space. I want to make sure I'm making the right decisions about equipment to purchase, the real estate to look at, proximity. I'm going to hire a coach. I don't know anything about the space. So that was the first thing that I did. And then I also, real estate investor, I want to buy the real estate. Well, we're looking at a deal and just realized, man, after purchasing it, all the rehab, et cetera, it's still a lot of cash out the door. Okay. Maybe that's not the best investment of time. It'd be a very big distraction, basically building in a whole other business versus what my bread and butter is, which is short-term rental management. So I never want to get distracted from the one thing. Right. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to partner with the right people and I'm going to make it as seamless as possible. So that was the first thing. Then I realized, okay, maybe we can lease. So I started looking at leasing spaces. Then I started realizing, okay, if we lease, these places are probably not built with the right, water lines and gas lines. So we have to rehab all that. And I just got off a call an hour ago with the guy, and we're looking at the numbers, our modeling, and 300 pounds a day of laundry is a lot for me. But in the laundry world, that's really not a lot. Like a cycle can be 200 pounds for a washer, 200 pounds for a dryer. That's like an hour of time.
Wow.
So you could do capacity with 3 or 4 washers and dryers, 5,000-6,000 pounds a day if you just have the team in place and the process in place. 300 pounds a day, when you model it out, it's like, man, I'm not even close to making money. So the decision point that we made is, okay, we need to do a stair-step approach and figure out, can we just use a wash and fold plant that already exists and just give them our business instead of building out the entire plant ourselves, losing a ton of money for a year or two? Maybe we just start to do what we want to do on the wash and fold side for quality reasons, like better quality assurance on the linens and the towels. And then we can eventually grow and stay focused on the management business and then grow into building out our own plant and our own office space. So it's been an interesting 2 months of this grand idea and this awesome thing, but then also just, okay, I need to be patient. I need to talk to the right people, explore all my options, and slow play this thing. Because unlike short-term rental co-hosting, you get a client that's, cash money. It just is coming to you. A laundromat is a huge investment out of the gate. So you want to make sure you're modeling your numbers really, really effectively.
And I think you would have to to help recoup some of that, you would have to take on wash and fold clients yourself to even recoup some of that. I mean, it'd be like so long, and because like you're saying, you could do 200 pounds in like one washer, one dryer if you have the right one, right? So like you only need like two, so you don't really need the whole facility, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that originally we were looking at this laundromat that had 20 washers, 17 dryers, something like that. And it sounded so cool to have, right? But then you realize you're going to be operating a totally different business. And unless I'm partnering with somebody that like loves that space and wants to grow it themselves, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to divert my focus. So we're going to keep on growing organically with the management business until the point that we actually need that type of capacity. And in the meantime, one or two commercial washer dryers, that's all we need. So we can have something that's a lot less spacious, but have the same effect that we're looking for, which is better quality control.
So since you were thinking about doing this, are you running some kind of like linen program, or are you supplying the sheet so everybody has the same kind of bedding, or how does that work at your scale?
We're moving towards that. We started buying all the linens and towels for our clients a couple of years ago, but then charging it back, and they would effectively own them. And then before that, they would have to supply. So we have a mishmash of linens and towels. And what we want to move into is they're all wholesale. That we own them, but then we have a service that the homeowners pay into to help offset that cost and the service itself. But it's a benefit to them because every linen, every towel is the same like hotel quality standard. And then the people that come and visit us, they know what they're expecting every time. They get the same experience regardless of the house that they're visiting.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I feel like, there's certain things at starting off small that you can kind of keep the same. But then now as you get bigger and bigger, now you got linens and bedding and all those things. And I think that's like stuff that people don't really talk about, because like I know Vocasa does a linen program and they charge like $500 a year or something like that to be in that program. I think it's an optional thing, but I was just curious on what your take was when it came with the linens overall. So you're just trying to merge everybody out eventually into the same linens, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. Again, a lot of what we've been talking about on the laundry side and cleaning, like, is theory in our plan, but I don't have the case study to say it's happened yet. I've seen other folks do it, and I know it's going to work at scale. But it's a lot of it's still theory for us.
Yeah. I think like one thing I noticed between like the STR Wealth Conference and then going to Verma for the first year, at 65 listings, we're kind of like in that medium where like, short-term rental wealth conference was a lot of people like maybe 1 to 50-ish listings, something like that. They're really building out. Maybe they're chasing something a little bit different, like financial independence, things like that. And then, when we go to VRMA, it's like, when I was there, I realized like I was probably the smallest fish in that entire deal at 65 listings, but it was a great room to be in. Anyways, it seemed like the common occurrence of people that I was networking and talking with, like at 100 plus units, like it ends up happening. Like you ends up transitioning to doing all these things in house at some point. So I'm wondering, like, have you looked at like? And sorry, we're hammering this laundry stuff so hard, but like, do you know like what? Okay, like what? Like maybe at 150 or maybe 200, where does it make sense? If you've done that math, where do you think it makes sense to do it, or is it like still under investigation?
Well, it depends on the unit that you're getting and how much washers and dryers you need, right? So it's going to depend on the debt service that you have for your equipment, utilities. Like there's some general rules of thumb, but what we've found is for the price per square foot that we are looking at in our market, 3,000 square feet, we're going to end up paying like $3,000 a month or so. Then you add in the utilities, you're going to need somebody to fold the laundry. For it to really make sense, we got to be around 500 or 600 pounds a day. So
it's almost double, right? So you're at 300, so maybe you need to double. Whenever you hit closer to 200, it's like, okay, let's revisit this thing again, right?
Exactly. And that was the epiphany that we had literally today. But I've had this model that we've penciled around. I'm like, man, at 1,000, we're crushing it. 1,000 pounds a day, we're crushing it. But at 300, I'm sucking wind for a good year. And it's figuring out where that threshold is and then saying, man, is this really worth my time? Like stressing out about trying to go outbound and get wash and fold clients. Again, totally separate business, separate marketing. Is that the best use of my time? If my one thing is my management company and growing the value of that, probably not. So like checking your ego at the door and saying, listen, like I'm just not that big yet. And that's okay. But I want to
Yeah.
focus here.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And yeah, maybe it's something to look forward to. Maybe it doesn't make sense now, but it's like something that's like, okay, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And maybe it's something you eventually get excited about. Or maybe, like you said, I'm at the same point where I'm like, just keep the main thing, the main thing. And then it's like, it's not shiny object syndrome because it is vertical integration. It does pair with your business, but at the same time, it's like you have to learn a whole new avenue and have a whole new branch.
Yep.
But the one thing I like that you said, I think that is big takeaway to all of our listeners is that he hired a laundry coach. Like that's everything, right? So like don't be afraid to pay people for their time. Except that you can't be afraid. You should be expected to pay people for their time. So you went out, you found the person that was able to help you maybe navigate this and solve this problem. So now, Chris, once you're educated and you have all of this stuff figured out, then I'm going to hire you and we're going to pay you the consulting fee and you can come help us bring laundry in house. Maybe. But anyways, I love how you did that, man.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I think that's the mindset that's always worked so well from day one, right? Getting into short-term rental secrets was, man, like I've dabbled in this. I can figure it out, but is it the best use of my time? Probably not. Let's just talk to the people that have done it, have a proven model, follow in their footsteps. And then it doesn't mean that you're not going to get creative and create your own thing and branding and all the rest of it. We've certainly done that too. But, man, like just get educated, like start there because it's going to build your confidence too. Right. Like in your decision making is going to improve a lot. Like if I had gone really full in on this real estate investment and spent 600K and then it folds, was the 6K that I spent on the laundromat coach worth it by not making that decision? That's the real value of coaching, the decisions you don't make.
What? So, what's the one thing that you wish you would have done sooner when you in your property management company?
I would have. Being so operationally driven, I hated making cold calls. I was just scared, I was anxious, like talking to new people. I'm a pretty introverted guy and still am. But man, the skill set that will pay again and again is if you can learn sales, if you can learn how to speak confidently and approach people and be able to share your value, but also learn how to listen. So that would be the one thing I would have changed. I would have spent more time getting myself out there, doing the meetups like Mike, and just practicing, right? And not being afraid of, someone's going to judge you because you're getting a no. If you can learn that sales skill, the sales becomes the engine for everything else. You don't have a business unless you have sales.
Yeah. So did you transition from, like you kind of said how you were kind of more integrator focus and now you're more visionary focus. So it's like, did STR Secrets kind of have like a mindset component of the coaching program that kind of shifted you that way? How did that transition kind of take place? Was it just like you on your own reading sales books or coaching? Like how did you become, for somebody that's listening that's like, man, I'm really, operational focus and I can relate to that. And I would really like to be, a more people person, be more confident, have a, better salesperson. What did that transition kind of look like for you?
Well, I've always believed that if you build it, they will come. Have that mentality. Like if you have an amazing 5-star service, then the folks are going to come to you. All of our clients have been inbound or referral. None of those cold calls actually work for me. And so it's always been inbound or referral. So I would start there, like build your confidence around the product itself. But then you need to learn and get over yourself that you can go out and sell. If
Dude,
you play too small, then you're going to stay small.
Yeah, so we're building out the sales part of our business too because we've grown. You grow so much from like a referral basis, and then at some point it's kind of like, hey, you got to invest in some other way to get business. And
I
I've
was gonna
just
say
noticed like I do cold calls and stuff. If it's like a like 150, 200K property, I'll call them. But like, man, like the closing rate is like so hard when people aren't looking for you. They're maybe they're comfortable with their manager. So like when the referral happens, it's like it doesn't always work, but it's almost like a layup. You get a basketball reference, right? But like you're doing like messaging, email marketing, stuff like that. It's like you're just launching a bunch of half court shots. And man, it's tough because those people aren't necessarily like looking to make a change. Maybe they're comfortable. They don't realize that they're not making enough money and they're just like, well, I'm fine with it, whatever, whatever. And getting those people to see the value of what you have, I think that's the challenging part for me at least.
Yeah, and I've not necessarily solved that outbound side. I've always felt like marketing was just throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks, and it's hard for me to wrap my mind around the numbers. So that's part of 2026 for us, is building out that function, because it does need to happen at some point. It's got to be more predictable and systematic. But if you were starting from scratch and starting to learn sales, like if you start, it's all mindset first of all. But if you start with like having a really good service that you truly believe in, then you can start a meetup.com. I've gone to other meetups and spoke at that meetups where multiple clients now have come to us, have listened to me talk, reached out to me afterwards. And because you're creating the rapport while you speak, because you're sharing your value. So if you know what you're talking about, that's basically sales, right? And so that's how I would start to transition. It's what I did from the operational side to the marketing side. Is I just understood this market and how this business works really, really well, that I could speak to it. And then I go and share that at meetups, and I share that with real estate investors, create referral networks that way. And then those people are coming to us more naturally. And it feels much more natural to me because the person's coming to me. I'm not going out to them. But that's where I would start if I was just starting to get more into the sales side of the business.
Yeah, I think that
I could go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I just think the thing with like cold calling too, like you're saying, I mean, Austin is good at it though. But I mean, the thing with the cold calling is like it requires a lot more follow up, right? Than somebody who does give you the layup, like in Austin's terms. I mean, like with the cold calling people, I mean, you got to contact them a bunch of times for someone to even talk to you. Usually, Brooke was on here from Ventori and told us to just say thoughts as the second one. Like later on, like a week later, and it's I did it again the other day too, Austin. It's so odd. Like you message someone or cold text them, and then you wait like a week or two, and then you just message them back and put thoughts of the question mark. They respond, dude. It's so weird.
It works.
It's wild.
It works. I got so like looking for like to like acquire managers, like just reaching out to them. I had a few like they'd message me back and like, yeah, let's hop on a call. Then never set the meeting, and then something happened. And then two of them, I was like, man, I guess they ghosted me. So I want to keep asking them. Then I just simply replied to the email, thoughts question mark. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this next week. But like, I don't know, like whoever does your sales, like tell them to go through their entire pipeline and just message everyone thoughts question mark. And it's like, I've noticed when you send like a long message, hey, Lazy Age Retreats, we specialize in this, that, and the other, blah, 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 they're just like,
Glaze
cool.
over. Yeah,
and then when you send them like, hey, thoughts, then they're like a very simple question.
Then they actually read it.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, the response rate has been crazy. So like even like the one takeaway from Brooks' podcast on that, like just saying, hey, just go through everybody and message them thoughts. It's like, dude, I was like, that's so stupid. And I was like, no, dude, that works.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep pumping it too, dude. It was great.
I might go through after this. I might go through after this call and just go through and just hammer people with a bunch of thoughts, question marks.
Mm-hmm.
So
anyway,
right now, you guys' plan is to strategic marketing plan. So is that what you guys are working on, your marketing the next year? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, building out a formal sales and marketing department, we'll call it. So we've hired a fractional marketing agency. They're first starting out with the guest marketing and refining that, increasing our direct bookings. Because again, with the Airbnb fee change, like I think that's a huge competitive advantage that to play on with new homeowner clients. And so as that gets refined and nailed down, she's going to help create more of the marketing funnel for us, because you need leads to have sales calls. So the more, again, while I do cold outreach at 100% will work, the more natural and effortless way is always going to be through inbound or referral. So if you can create that organic traffic where they're coming to you, you really don't need that many closed deals to grow pretty big, and our goal is 4 a month. If we get 4 a month, we're going to 50% increase our business next year. And so you're talking about 20, 30 leads a month. I don't necessarily need to do a whole lot of outbound because we have good brand recognition. We just need that awareness out there. And so that's a huge focus for us now, is just creating that awareness.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out, like, we've been doing this via like directly, skip tracing and directly reaching out to the homeowner. And I'm just trying to figure out if like it would make more sense to run like a marketing campaign, but like do it for 200 realtors in the area instead of going directly to the client. Like, should we set up something with all the local realtors in the Texas Hill Country and then run some kind of marketing campaign? I don't know. There's just like, especially after talking to Brooke with Ventoria, there's just so many ways to do it. And it's hard to pick like 2 or 3 of them and kind of go all in, because if you try and do all 20, you're just going to get like no results trying to do a little bit of 20 different things. So man, I hear you. I'm trying to solve that problem out myself.
I mean, have you guys read the book, The One Thing, by Papazan, Jay and Wendy? It's, Jay Papazan, part of Keller Williams, him and Keller wrote the book, and it's all about focus and nailing down, like, what is your one thing? I've said it a couple of times now, but like, my one thing is my management company. Well, when it comes to sales and strategy, sales and marketing, and again, I'm no expert here, but this is how I'm thinking about it. It's, well, what has worked for us? And based on that, can we just go all in on that thing and just double or triple our efforts there? And so if we are getting one inbound lead right now a week, can we make that 4 or 5? And can those 4 or 5 all be qualified leads? Because a referral for a 1-bedroom condo that's 20 minutes outside of a core market, like, those are just not great ones to take on, right? So you want to stay laser focused on what you want, and then market to those people and just go all in on the thing that's working best for you. And just do that. If you're doing 10 different marketing strategies, like you're saying, like, you're just going to end up building 10 half-built bridges, and none of them are really going to work.
Yeah, that's good. So what are you guys doing now to generate leads?
I just told you.
They're just referrals based. Are you offering referral incentives to your, like, the owners you have or anything like that?
No. So what I'll say, one thing I didn't mention, but Austin, you were talking about like the real estate referrals. I think folks in the real estate industry can become your salespeople instead of you having inbound or in-house sales folks. Because if you think about it, here's a story for you. I bought this house last year. A title attorney at closing asked me what I did. I told him. I was like, "Oh, I have 2 short-term rentals." Great. Okay, so he's a attorney, a closing attorney, title attorney in real estate. He gives us two properties to manage. That person then tells his real estate friend, because they're obviously in the same business, that, hey, you should talk to Chris and Seacoast. That person becomes a client of ours. And then that person's a real estate agent. Another referral comes to us because of that person closed with this real estate agent. So just from that, all within the same like ecosphere, were like real estate professionals. And all those clients, 4 clients now, have all come to us because of just relationships. And so another, marketing strategy, but extremely lightweight, is you lean into the people that are in the real estate world, title, attorneys or insurance folks or real estate agents. You talk to them, you build the relationships up, and you figure out ways to just share business. We don't even do referral programs like a kickback of $500 or anything, because that's not even worth it. The bigger win is just the business itself. If we can give them somebody that's going to close with them, or if they give us that's going to become a client of ours, that's far more valuable than a few $100 in terms of a kickback. And so we're doing the same thing with our vendors, our snowplow vendor, one point of contact. They do HVAC services. They're obviously going to have hundreds or thousands of clients that they do HVAC service for. Can they, any of those are short-term rentals, can they kick back any of those people to us? It's all about just creating relationships, and then those people become your salespeople. And it's just who not howing the whole thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there's no point in like kind of collecting, a referral fee from something, when the client is, the average contract is bringing into your business, signing a contract is like 20 to 30,000 into the net worth of your business if that contract's worth it. So like when you're playing that game, it's almost just, it is what it is. But one thing I did want to ask was, do you have anyone on your team that's like a real estate agent or anything like that? Like if they wanted to buy or sell a house, or if you did want to collect a referral, like one of your clients came to you and says, "Hey, Chris, I want to sell my house," but maybe Chris isn't an agent. Do you refer it out to somebody else, or do you have someone on your team that's an agent, or any interest in doing anything like that?
Yeah, my business partner is an agent, and that's
Oh yeah,
been
you
one of
said that. That's right.
the biggest sources for business in both ways. Numerous clients of ours have bought and sold places with him, and then vice versa. He'll sell places and his clients, and he owns the company too. So like, my company can manage this thing for you. And so it's kind of this natural pass, back and forth.
That's awesome. Chris, I appreciate you coming, and I know we all got things to do. I actually have a client meeting, so I got to cut it, but I appreciate you coming in. You provided so much value. Can you just tell everybody like where to find you if they're interested in joining Secrets and maybe getting you as a coach, or anything out there that you want to put out there?
Yeah, come follow me at Chris_Petzy, or our company is at Seacoast to Summit, and that's the number 2, Seacoast to Summit. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the socials, our website, seacoasttosummit.com, if you want to check out one of our places. And in terms of secrets, at STR Secrets is the handle for that. Mike_Sjogren, I believe, is his. Follow any of us, and you can find ways to book a call and see if you're a good fit for the program.
Did y'all hear that? A good fit. You might not be a good fit.
There is a vetting process.
Not for everybody, man. You got to want to win. And
No,
yeah, like we said earlier on the podcast, a lot of people have been through their program and also been on our show, and they definitely have the results to show for it. So you guys are doing a good job over there, Chris, and I appreciate you for coming on. And I guess with that, we'll just wrap it up. So thank y'all for listening. Peace.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.